In the mist-shrouded mountains of Transylvania, a legend was born that would terrorize an entire continent and inspire one of the most chilling characters in literary history. But the real story of Vlad the Impaler is far more brutal and complex than any vampire tale could ever capture. Imagine a world where survival meant becoming more terrifying than your enemies. A world where a single man's reputation could stop entire armies in their tracks. This is the forgotten truth of Vlad Dracula, a prince whose name would become synonymous with nightmare. The year was 1431. In a small fortress in Sighișoara, Romania, a child was born who would grow to become the most feared ruler in Eastern European history. Vlad Dracula, son of Vlad Dracula, a member of the Order of the Dragon, was destined for a life of conflict from the moment he drew his first breath. To truly understand Vlad, we must first dive deep into the complex political landscape of medieval Eastern Europe, a world far more intricate and dangerous than most history books dare to reveal. The 15th century was a time of unprecedented turmoil. The once mighty Byzantine Empire was crumbling like a sandcastle against the relentless waves of the Ottoman Empire. In this geopolitical pressure cooker, small principalities like Wallachia were caught in an impossible position, forced to navigate between multiple powerful enemies while trying to maintain their independence. Vlad's family, the Draculești, were not ordinary nobility. They were warriors with a legacy of resistance. The name Dracul itself carried profound significance. Derived from the Order of the Dragon, a prestigious chivalric organization, it symbolized a commitment to defending Christianity against Islamic expansion. But this was no simple honorary title. Membership in the Order of the Dragon was both a badge of honor and a death sentence. Those who bore the dragon emblem became immediate targets for the expanding Ottoman Empire. Vlad's father, Vlad Dracula, understood this reality better than most. He was a skilled diplomat who constantly walked a razor-thin line between submission and rebellion. To maintain Wallachia's fragile independence, he was forced to pay tribute to the Ottoman Sultan, while simultaneously seeking alliances with other Christian powers. This delicate balance would come at a devastating personal cost. In 1442, everything changed. The young Vlad, barely 11 years old, and his younger brother Radu were taken as hostages by the Ottoman Sultan Murad II. This wasn't a simple kidnapping. It was a calculated political maneuver designed to ensure the loyalty of Vlad Dracula. The years of captivity would transform Vlad in ways no one could have predicted. While his brother Radu adapted to the Ottoman court, becoming a favored companion to the Sultan, Vlad remained defiant. He absorbed every lesson, not with submission, but with a burning desire for revenge. He learned multiple languages, studied military strategy, and observed the intricate political machinations of the Ottoman Empire. These were not just years of captivity, they were years of preparation. When Vlad finally returned to Wallachia, he was no longer a mere prince. He was a weapon, carefully crafted by years of trauma, observation, and an unquenchable thirst for revenge. The political landscape he returned to was a nightmare of betrayal. His own nobility had collaborated with the Ottomans. Local Saxon merchants in Transylvania undermined his authority. The Hungarian kingdom constantly interfered in Wallachian affairs. Every direction held a potential threat. Vlad's response would become legendary. Impalement wasn't just a punishment for him. It was a psychological weapon of unprecedented sophistication. By creating forests of stakes with impaled bodies, Vlad didn't just kill his enemies. He sent a message that would echo through centuries. The war against the Ottoman Empire was more than a mere conflict. It was an existential struggle for survival. In 1462, Vlad launched a campaign that would become legendary in military history. Knowing he was massively outnumbered, he employed a scorched earth strategy that would become his most brilliant military tactic. As the Ottoman army, led by Sultan Mehmed II, invaded Wallachia with over 150,000 troops, Vlad refused to engage in traditional battle. Instead, he implemented a devastating guerrilla warfare approach. He poisoned wells, destroyed crops, and created elaborate traps that decimated the Ottoman supply lines. His small force of around 20,000 men would strike at night, using their intimate knowledge of the terrain to maximum advantage. Vlad's most shocking tactic was psychological warfare. He would leave behind entire landscapes of impaled bodies, creating a terrifying spectacle that broke the spirit of even the most hardened Ottoman soldiers. Historical accounts suggest that Sultan Mehmed II, upon discovering the forest of impaled bodies, some reports claim up to 20,000 Ottoman soldiers, was so shocked that he reportedly turned back his entire invasion force. This was more than a military campaign. It was a brutal message that Wallachia would not be easily conquered. But Vlad's brutality wasn't random. It was calculated with surgical precision. Under his rule, Wallachia became extraordinarily disciplined. Theft became almost non-existent. According to some historical accounts, a golden cup could be left in the town square and no one would dare touch it. Lazy workers were executed. Despite his reputation for brutality, Vlad was actually a surprising defender of the common people. While nobles and wealthy merchants typically exploited peasants, Vlad implemented strict laws that protected the poor. Historical records show that during his reign, social inequality dramatically decreased. Merchants who cheated customers were punished severely, corrupt nobles were executed, and resources were more equally distributed. In one famous incident, he invited hundreds of noble families to a grand feast, only to lock the doors and impale them all, effectively eliminating a corrupt aristocratic class that had long oppressed ordinary people. Some historians argue that his methods, while horrifically violent, were actually attempts to create a more just society. He wasn't just a brutal ruler, he was a revolutionary who used terror as a tool for social reform. In a world where might made right, Vlad Dracula was playing a dangerous game of political chess, sacrificing everything to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. He implemented a legal system so strict that it bordered on the extreme, but in a world of constant betrayal and invasion, extreme measures were sometimes the only way to maintain order. But perhaps the most unexpected legacy of Vlad Dracula lies in the world of literature and film. The connection between the historical prince and the vampire legend is a fascinating tale of literary imagination. In 1897, Irish author Bram Stoker wrote his iconic novel Dracula, drawing inspiration from the terrifying reputation of Vlad Dracula. Stoker never visited Romania, but he discovered historical accounts of Vlad through research in libraries. He was captivated by the name Dracula and the prince's reputation for brutality. While the vampire in Stoker's novel bears little direct resemblance to the historical Vlad, he borrowed key elements: the name, the Romanian connection, and the aura of terror that surrounded the historical figure. The name Dracula itself means son of Dracul in Romanian, which Stoker found intriguing. Interestingly, the vampire mythology was not part of Vlad's original historical narrative. It was entirely Stoker's creation. The Hollywood adaptations that followed further transformed Vlad into a supernatural creature, completely divorcing him from his historical reality. Modern vampire stories continue to play with this connection, often depicting Vlad as a supernatural being rather than the complex historical figure he truly was. Vlad understood something that most of his contemporaries did not. In a world of constant warfare, reputation was often more powerful than armies. His reign was short but impactful. Though he ruled Wallachia for only a few years in total, his legend would last centuries. Even after his death, the mere mention of his name could make seasoned warriors tremble. Modern historians have begun to re-examine Vlad's legacy. Was he a monster? Or was he a strategic genius forced to use extreme methods in an unimaginably dangerous world? The line between monster and hero is sometimes thinner than we could ever imagine. The truth, buried in centuries of myth and misunderstanding, might be more complex than anyone has ever imagined.